This is a Brooklyn-bound 2 train. The next stop is Wall Street.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. It is Thursday, October 3rd. This is Not Your Advisor with NYU Grad. We do have a lot to cover today, although it was a low-volume, range-bound day. But let's cover breadth first. As usual, we had 234 new highs on the NYSE versus 170 new lows. 26% of stocks were advancing versus 70% declining today. 35% were below their respective 50-day moving average, and 34% of stocks were below their respective 200-day moving average. We initially tried to rally into the open, but sold off pretty quickly, and we continued in this range-bound activity all day, and I'm going to really deep dive into today's action hour by hour. But taking a quick look at mega cap land, outside of NVIDIA, it was fairly a red day on the Mag 7 and mega cap. Microsoft was down 0.14%, nothing burger. Apple was down about 0.5%. Google was up 0.06%. Meta was up 1 3/4%. Amazon down 1.5%. Tesla down 3.3% again. And NVIDIA holding up the entire market, and I'll get into why I say that, was up 3.3% today. At the peak of the session, I think it was up more than 4.5%. So it sold off toward the end of the day. I see a lot of red here, whatever sector you look at. So the leading sector today was energy again. So energy, oil services, in sentiment of the war in the Middle East escalating with Israel and Lebanon. And you have the war going on with Ukraine and Russia. So things seem to be escalating despite the fact it was low volume. It is still Rosh Hashanah, which is, for those that don't know, a pretty holy religious holiday for Jewish folks, where they're celebrating the New Year. Typically, when I used to go into the office every day, Jewish holidays particularly were very light volume as far as commuting goes, and then obviously with just work in general, people were out of the office. So with low volume in the session, I suspected that prices would go higher, because typically the pattern we've seen is low volume ramp ups, and when volume comes back, it's distribution. So I was expecting the same, but we just kind of went sideways today, and I'll walk through that in a second. So when I say that it was all NVIDIA, here's what I mean. When you go take a look at the show notes in the free section, you're going to see two, I would say, lists. One is the NASDAQ 100, one is the S&P 500 components. It's right under Jensen Huang holding up the Blackwell chips. You'll see here a percentage change for the day on the NASDAQ 100. Constellation Energy was up the most, 4.6%. But the weighting of the NASDAQ 100, Constellation Energy only makes up 0.51% of the NASDAQ 100. Take a look at NVIDIA. It was up 3.3%, not as much as Constellation Energy, but NVIDIA makes up 7.6% of the entire NASDAQ 100. That's what I mean. This is all NVIDIA. Let's go take a look at the S&P 500. The leading S&P 500 percentage-wise today was Marathon Petroleum, with energy being up so much. But Marathon Petroleum only makes up 0.14% of the S&P. Valera Energy is up 5.9% for the day, but it only makes up 0.11%. Look at Nvidia, the last one. It's up 3.4%, but it makes up 3.05% of the 500 stocks. This one stock. So I'm telling you, if it wasn't for Nvidia, and if Nvidia was down 3% today, it would have been all hell broken loose. And these are things that mainstream media won't tell you. No one reports on this for the most part, and everything is fine, right? That's going to be the headline of this podcast. Everything is fine. And I'll use GIFs from Don't Look Up, which is the asteroid movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. And he said, look, it's right there. Can't you see it? And you have the madman CEO who's trying to land on the asteroid to mine it for resources, saying everything is fine, everything is fine. And everything is not fine, folks. These things are not okay. And just to hammer on the point, I've been reporting on the insider sales across the board, but I saw something from Jesse Felder on X. The semiconductor executives have sold $1.3 billion worth of company stock during the third quarter of this year. That is the highest quarterly value on record for the industry. So, hey, I get it. They're scheduled sales for the most part. If you're the CEO, CFO, CMO, you can't just willy-nilly go into your Charles Schwab account and sell, $400 million worth of NVIDIA. I get it. And they have to be scheduled. But you can also cancel those scheduled sales. Anyway, let's keep peeling this onion, okay? So what else stuck out to me today? I noted, I don't know how long NVIDIA can hold up all of the markets. I'm going to start to talk about hourly trends in the session. The show notes won't have this for free members, but I'm going to walk through it verbally. If you want to see how I visualize these charts, please consider upgrading, but I'm going to walk through it. At 10:11 a.m., I reported on the balance area yesterday that morphed from a wedge into a balance area. And this morning, we started to rally furiously up to the upper range of the balance area. And I even posted a crayon drawing of that range saying, look, we're either going to do a couple things here. It's time to choose your adventure. It's going to either break out of the balance area, U-turn back south, and then if it goes back south, it might U-turn back up. And those were my scenarios. At 10:15 a.m., basically 4 minutes after, we reversed from that balance area edge almost to the penny. And I draw my balance areas just eyeballing it. It's not a mathematical thing. So we reversed hard off of that, heading to the lower end of that balance area. At 11:03 a.m. before lunch, I posted another chart. We were starting to break down below that balance area at 1 o'clock. We are still below the balance area. Very bearish. We're about to tank here if we cannot get back above it. 1:15 p.m., when you start to compare the NASDAQ breadth up-down volume versus the NASDAQ, basically I was depicting how breadth would have told you that a rally or a bounce was coming, and to watch out for potentially another bounce after 1 o'clock, 1:30, but we need to see breadth expand. So that's what I had posted there. And then when you kind of go through the end of the session, we really did not bounce. I mean, we tried to get back into the balance area. I noted again to the premium members, we might go to the high volume node, which is indicated in yellow here, the horizontal. All it is a distribution graph of time and volume. Or we were going to keep going higher to test the upper boundary of that balance area. And we pretty much never expanded on breadth, and we closed a little bit above the lower range of that balance area, and we started to rally into the close, but breadth told us that it was a fake out. No one was buying that rally other than suckers. Big money was selling into that mini rally into the close. So take a look at potentially upgrading. If you want to see a preview of my market profile charting for dummies, you can see like 1/3 of that post. It's in my Binge NYU grad section of the navigation on top. So definitely check that out. What to watch for free members. I'll go through what was strong and what was weak, and then we'll wrap up the session. There was a lot of stuff moving up and down today. So, for example, on the S&P 500, you had Valero, an energy patch, up 6.16%, Marathon Petroleum up 5.8%, Vistra Energy up 5.7%, Palantir up 4.6%, Constellation Energy up 4.5%, Diamondback Energy up 3.8%. You get this picture, right? Nvidia up 3.3%, but a lot of oil and oil services. Phillips 66 up 3.3%, Devon Energy 3.2%, Occidental Petroleum up 2.4%, Halliburton up 2.2%. In the NASDAQ, you had Constellation Energy 4.5%, Diamondback Energy again 3.8%, Trade Desk up 2.56%, and Micron up 2.03%. What was weak in the S&P, Constellation Brands down 4.7%, Universal Health Services down 4.18%, Tesla down 3.4%, Moderna 3.2%. Let's see, Regeneron Pharmaceuticals down 2.5%, Take-Two Interactive down 2.49%, ConAgra Brands down 2.46%. In the NASDAQ, you had Discovery down 2.7%. I already mentioned Take-Two Interactive because they're in both. Dexcom down 2.16%, AstraZeneca down 2.06%, Biogen down 2.06%. So free members, continue to watch the macro, the forest, not the trees. You want to keep watching yields, the Mag 7. It's all about the Mag 7 and semiconductors right now. You don't have to dig deep and go through thousands of charts right now. As I just told you and showed you, it's all about the VIX. I mean, not the VIX. It's all about NVIDIA, and it's moving the markets by itself. So I will see you all after the Friday session. And free members, please stay on. I'd like to go over some charts today. That's my train.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.